I ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I wish to take a moment to pay tribute to my former Chief of Staff, Michael Kennedy. In my 38 years as a senator, I've seen many talented staffers come and go, but few have left such a lasting impression as Michael. He is someone for whom I have a deep appreciation and much respect. That is why it was so difficult for me when I learned that Michael would be leaving my office to pursue an opportunity in the private sector. I'd come to rely so much on his counsel, his leadership, and his savvy that it was very difficult and hard to let him go. I know I speak for everyone on my staff when I say Michael will be sorely missed. Before Michael came to my office, he was living in Salt Lake City and working at Utah State University as the Vice President for Federal and State Relations. Under his leadership, the university developed its first professional program, secured critical line item funding, enhanced its footprint and resource portfolio, and became the key player in facilitating the merger of two Utah schools. Michael was also the point man for all matters related to Capitol Hill and the Utah State Legislature. His reputation for hard work and integrity helped him craft strong relationships and close connections throughout the state. He knew the landscape, customs, and culture of Utah better than almost anyone. His experience and his reputation proved invaluable to me. Madam President, I know that these tributes can often sound like eulogies with the way we talk about people as if they had passed on. Well, considering how hard Michael worked, I'm surprised this isn't his eulogy. His energy and work ethic always amazed me, as did his sense of style. Perhaps the only thing sharper than Michael's mind was his wardrobe. Few people can pull off a navy suit with pink lining and a silver cufflinks, but Michael did so with ease. And of course, you might not know Michael was such a sharply dressed staffer because his boss usually stole the fashion spotlight. And after Washingtonian Magazine named me the best dressed man in Congress, I can only hope that some of my style rubs off on him. However, if people knew how little I'd pay for my clothing, I think they might want to take back that honor. Michael took a pay cut when he joined my staff nearly 4 years ago, and he always joked that his next job would be as an unpaid summer intern. I like to think that Michael's financial sacrifice was emblematic of his desire to serve the state of Utah and improve this great country through the United States Senate. His willingness to serve was most evident in the way he always put the needs of constituents and staff above his own. Michael's dedication to my staff was only surpassed by his dedication to his family, and I truly believe that he owes his success to the constant support of his wife, Natalie, an absolutely beautiful woman who I have been blessed to know. Natalie and her family have been friends of mine since she was young. Natalie grew up as a friend of my children, so naturally I felt protective and wanted the best for her. When she announced her engagement to Michael, Elaine and I were delighted. Still, I was surprised that someone as impressive as Natalie would agree to Michael's engagement proposal. I guess to his long list of talents and accomplishments, we could add marrying out of his league. I was grateful that Natalie knew very well the rigors and intensity of serving on a United States Senate staff, having previously worked with Senator Bob Bennett. Not only was she an invaluable support to Michael, she was also always there to help me in any way she could. She was wonderful. While Michael was serving as my chief of staff, Natalie gave birth to their daughter Emily, or as I like to call her, Sweet Pea. Shortly after her birth, Michael's family gathered in my Capitol office and gave Sweet Pea a father's blessing, as is the tradition in our faith. It was a sacred experience for Elaine and me to join Michael and Natalie and his family and her family for that special occasion. Michael's family wasn't the only one to grow in the time he was with me. During those few years, we had 12 new babies and 4 spouses added to the families of our staff. Whenever there was a birth or marriage, Michael went out of his way to make sure they were taken care of. He fostered an atmosphere of camaraderie, friendship, and family friendliness that was critical for my office's ability to serve the people of Utah. People always knew he was genuinely concerned for them and their needs as they tried to adjust to the wonderful changes of a growing family. Nevertheless, I knew that there were plenty of times when Michael would rather have been with Natalie than with me. One particular instance comes to mind. During the end of the 112th Congress, Michael and I rang in the new year together during an extended voting session. Michael bought a bottle of blue Powerade from a downstairs vending machine here at the Capitol, and we counted down the seconds on my Senate clock. I knew he wanted to be with his family, but I was grateful for his sacrifice in staying with me. This intense dedication was the norm for Michael Kennedy. Every night that I left the Senate, Michael would be there to wish me a safe drive home and continue his work for me late into the night. Whenever I traveled, he was always by my side and ready to help. Together, we spent a lot of time on the road, visiting each of Utah's 29 counties. We drove from meeting to meeting across beautiful western landscapes and had many memorable conversations. Though road trips can often be long and tedious, Michael's sharp intellect and good humor made him one of the greatest traveling companions and friends that I've ever had. Madam President, I've been extremely fortunate when it comes to my staff. I've had the privilege of serving with some of the most gifted and devoted people our nation has to offer. Each of them has brought something unique and important to their service, but I have to say that even among the select fraternity of talented Senate staffers, Michael Kennedy belongs in an elite class. I've no doubt that Michael will enjoy enormous success in his new position. Success has been the defining characteristic of every endeavor he has undertaken. I have had many chiefs of staff over my 38 years in the Senate, but none has ever been better than Michael. While the selfish part of me wishes he could have stayed in the Senate just a bit longer, I have to say that I wish Michael, Natalie, and darling Sweet Pea the very best going forward. I don't say these things haphazardly. This young man is truly one of the finest people I've known in all of my experience in the United States Senate. He was dedicated, he was consecrated to this work. He did everything he possibly could to help my staff and me do a better job in the United States Senate. Michael's a true friend. He'll always be somebody whose friendship I revere. And like I say, his wife is a wonderful friend as well. And Sweet Pea, I call her Pea now. She is one of the cutest, most darling young women, young girls that I have ever seen. So with that, Madam President, I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.